So guys, to estimate the quantity of materials required for constructing a bungalow from the foundation to the parapet level. Actually, this video didn't stop. I later had to add the roofing and plastering. Okay, so it will not end. Actually, the example I use is 5-bedroom bungalow. All right, so the total material summary for from foundation to parapet cement is so totaling 290 bags of cement at the rate of 7.5, and it gives us 2.175 million. Workmanship, here I worked with 850 for a bag of cement. All right, for casting, 850 for casting, and when you multiply it to give you 178,500 for casting. I indicated it, please take note. Then sand footing. That all these sands are not the same. When you talk about DPC, that is casting of DPC, you are talking about shaft sand. When you talk about block work, you are talking about lateral sand. All right, shocking sand, I mean to say. So when you talk about filling, you're talking about lateral sand. So take note of that. Parapet beam shaft sand, one total 50.5 tons of sand plus the lateral sand for filling. Don't forget that. Lateral sand, filling sand depends on the level of or the level of the place you are building. 100,000 totaling for sand 700,000 naira. Then gravel total 43.6 tons. That will total 1.20 million, approximately 1.1. Then blocks, then totaling 2,650 blocks. You added extra 350 pieces of blocks, and that will give us 3,000 blocks by 650. Remember, we are working with 9 inches, and that will give us 1.950 million. So when it comes to block, we are having 2.5 million naira. Then steel reinforcement. Steel reinforcement 0.3 tons. In this one, sometimes some people don't really use much rod during their DPC. Okay, they don't. And that is why you see that they will tell you that bungalow doesn't need much rod, but that depends on the type of soil. Okay, if it's a swampy area, my dear, you need it. You need it if you don't want your house to fall. So that's why when you calculate it, we added extra as well 0.6 tons to give us 5 tons. Multiply. Remember, we are working with 12 here. I told you guys it's not only 12 size that will be used, but let's just work with one size that is mostly used. All right, so that is why I calculated with 12 You might use 8 you might use 10 okay. If you need big pillar, you might need 16 as well, but here we are calculating with 12 I remember that 176 length of 12 makes up a ton. All right. So when you multiply it by 5, it will give you 880 lengths of rod. All right. So multiply by 10,000. This is a rough estimate anyway. So totaling 9.760. You see that when it comes to rod, it eats money, it chops money, it consumes money. So that is why most people don't really match their DPC, you know. So extra costs are excavation, 200. Excavation, most people charge per square meter. Water, you'll be needing water because everything from foundation, you need water except roofing. That is where you don't need water. But this water, I did not include plastering water. A well-experienced engineer, okay, to handle your work for you. And this will give us 18.460 million, approximately 90 million. Now, this is from parapet, from foundation to parapet level. Now, let's add the roofing, okay? When it comes to roofing, there are different types of roofs, and that will determine the measurements and the cost. Like flat roof, the roof area will be roughly equal to the ground floor area. If it's a flat roof, yeah, you are That is what I'm trying to say here. Then if it's a complex roof design, for instance, this stone tiles roofing style that has valley and other complex features. The roof area could be even larger than that of the hip roof, okay? 392 square meter. I'm using this as an example. So 1 square meter is of 0.45 gauge. You know, when it comes to roofing sheet, they have different gauges. They have 0. I think 35. So I'm working with 0.45. And remember, two pieces of it makes it 1 square meter. All right. You should always know that. So when you multiply 392 square meter by 7,000, it's giving you 2.744,000 plus other materials and workmanship. Remember, I did not talk about the woodwork, nails, and all that. So when you add all of them, you should be expecting nothing less than 3.5 or more. Here, I worked with 4 million naira. So it depends. And remember, the installation also, you will pay for it. So all those things is what you add up. You might even be getting more than 4 million. Remember, I calculated 0.45. If you are going for 0.55, that one is more expensive than 0.45. Now we are calculating with 7,000. That one might be like 8,005 or even 9,000. So if you are going for 0.55, you should expect more than this. All right. So when you add up the 19 million that we got from foundation to parapet to this 4 million, we are having 23 million. That is now from foundation to roofing level. We are having 23 million naira. Now add the plastering. Here we worked with 200 bags of cement for this building. But remember that you might need more than this depending on the design of your building, and you might need less than this depending on the design of your building. Here we worked with 200 bags of cement for the plastering at the rate of 7.5, and that will give you 1.5 million. Then 60 tons of sand for this. You know how we calculate 1:6 to 1:4, depending on the thickness and all that, totaling 2.60 million naira. So when you add that of from foundation to roofing, which is 23 million, you are having 25.60 million naira. So I will tell you that when you are building this kind of house from foundation to roofing, including plastering, you should expect, depending on the design of your building, you should expect anything from 20 to 30 million. Yes, let's put it. Always remember, disclaimer, I am not an engineer, I'm not a builder, I'm just a project manager. All right, so my advice is that materials quantity can vary, okay, based on specific design, local construction practices, and site condition. Always include up to 5 to 10% contingency to account for waste and unforeseen needs. And don't forget to always consult with an engineer or contractor for precise estimates tailored to your specific project location. All right. I believe that this estimate should give you a solid foundation for planning the materials needed, the cost to construct your bungalow from the foundation to the roofing level, including plastering.